I like your discussion very much, but I'm surprised you haven't emphasized the 60s more. Compared to the 60 generation, the post-war generation is like Buddhist monks in their restraint, and just look at a ball game in 1948 or something like that. The 60s is
as
when
soon
you
as
really
men lost their hats, the whole game was over.
The 60s is when you have the collective rage, the feminism, just all of patriarch, all of history, and so on and so forth. Much more, that's when you have the piercings and the spiking and the free speech movement and so on. So I wonder if you think that is really more what you're talking about with the new anger.
Well, I wanted to get there, but this guy wouldn't let me. I'm kind of peeved about it, but I'm under control. Yeah, I think that the 60s are that moment when expressive individualism becomes a culturally dominant thing. That is when that happened, but it didn't happen just out of the blue. And that's why I go back to the end of World War II in the 1950s. To understand the 60s, you have to see that there was this gestation of new ideas brought in many cases by intellectual and cultural and artistic elites. Allen Ginsberg's Howl is 1954, I think, if I'm remembering that correctly. Catcher in the Rye, Salinger's book is 1950, and that
White Negro.
Norman Mailer. We're beginning to get this sense all through the 1950s that it's time to throw off the restraints of the old repressive culture, and it's the kids growing up in the 1950s who discover the opportunity to live that out when they get to college campuses in the 1960s. The counterculture is essentially a creature of campus culture. And that's where the opportunity was to explore these new freedoms. And so yes, the 60s are crucial in this narrative, but this guy wouldn't let me talk about them.